I already told you about my ragtime story. Ragtime, the thing about ragtime that makes it so amazing is that it deals with three groups of people, which kind of covers the universe. It deals with an African American, Cole House Walker Jr., and it deals with Eastern Europeans, the immigrants, Tate, the Jewish immigrant, who's also essential to the story. And then it deals with a white woman, Mother, who's white upper class from New Rochelle. And it throws these three characters into an intertwining story together, obviously with Sarah, the mother of his child. And it's funny, of course, because as soon as you start singing, yesterday was Will and Nora's birthday. So, and Will was part of the reading yesterday, as was Emily, his girlfriend. And Will narrated the show yesterday. And I was sitting in the back of the house, and as I'm watching this musical about, going back and forth, remembering who you are, and the challenge of who am I without my career. If I'm not a lawyer, who am I? If I'm not a doctor, who am I? I was sitting up there, and I was watching Will, and when it got to the end of the play, there was this moment. It was all about where the Nora character says, you got to make sure that you keep her alive. And I was like, how did we plan this reading on their birthday just to make it a little more intense for me? And I'm sitting there, and as you started the song, after the reading, I said to Will, or when I saw Will yesterday, I said, I know where I was 23 years ago. And he looked at me and he went, not till 4 o'clock. Because he knows what time he was born. I said, no, I didn't just show up at 4 o'clock, Will. We had to wake up in the morning. We had to get your mother. We had to get her in a car. We had to go there. It was an all-day deal, just so you know. But I was like, there's something about watching your children grow up and start their life, and that moment where you have to let go, really let go. I mean, yesterday was his birthday, and he had this big party planned for himself at the end of the day. And I said to him, he was with us till like 8 p.m., but then they were going out to celebrate. And I said to him, so where are we meeting you? And he looked at me and went, and he said, it's called, and he gave me the bar name, and I waited, and I went, okay. He went, okay, you're coming? And I was like, no, I'm not coming. So it's just very, very prophetic that we did our reading this week, that you are here today and you're singing this song. So when I look at those three groups of people that pretty much pull the world together, by the end of the story, all three of those characters dealt with the same thing, the dream, the thing inside of them that needed to be triggered, that big change needed to happen in order for them to get out of the mundane decision to live this life and actually say, it's going to be challenging, but I'm going to put it all aside and find out who I am, which is really what the Bells Are Swinging is all about. I'm going to put it all aside and find out who I am. Without all the trappings, who am I? Mother certainly does that when she gets out of a marriage. In that time, a woman did not stand up to her husband and say, I'm leaving you. But she does. And I'm going to leave you for a Jewish man, which she never did back then. So it's the theme of that show is about the universal dream, how there's one dream, really, that drives all of us. And if we're willing to hear it, things change. Because what a dream is nothing more than the quantum energy of life that is at the center of all of us, constantly bubbling up. I don't know about you, but I've had so much bubbling these last 2 years. Have you felt that thing inside of you that just keeps bubbling up, saying there is more than this? There is more than this. And yet, it's like Kevin said, I can get still, but I still have to keep moving. There is more to do, more to be, more to know. And it's not the exhaustion of accomplishment I'm talking about. It is the peace of knowing that I'm talking about. Knowing who I am. Knowing that everything is possible. Absolutely everything, which is what Cole House is singing about. We'll go to California or who knows where. Anywhere we want to go, we will take this boy and show him, our son, that anything is possible. Well, each one of us today gets the opportunity of telling ourselves that. You know, when I was watching the show on Friday night, we did 2 performances. On Friday night, I don't know if you've ever heard of a 29-hour reading, but you get 29 hours to teach a cast an entire show, musically, script, and then when they think their heads are exploding, then I come in and say, and here's where you go, and we stage it. So it's really a lot in 29 hours. So by Friday night, as I expected, the reading was fine. It was good. It showed what the show was, but it was tenuous. It was slow. It was very slow. We actually cut between Friday night and Saturday's show. We cut like 15 minutes, just in timing. So it was really slow. And I'm sitting in the back of the house, as you can only imagine. My stomach is just like, move it along, pick up your cues, come on, faster, faster. And it was just like, so there's this bubbling up inside of me, which was the dinner I'd just had. And it's bubbling up, and I'm like, there's so much more. This show is so much more than I'm seeing right now. And then I just took a deep breath and I said, and there's another day. Just because there's so much more doesn't mean I need to be a volcano and open it up to all of it. It means I need to be willing to know there's so much more and be available to it, and then do what's mine to do, which I'm going to get to. So by Saturday morning when I woke up, I had to look at what could I do in the 45 minutes I had before the second performance. What could I change? I already knew it was going to be better because they'd already done it once. Now they felt comfortable. They could be a little faster. And I did something very interesting. I took the script and I just read the whole script. And as I'm reading it, I noted everything I didn't like about Friday night on another piece of paper. And so I had about, 50 notes. And I went, I know, I'm going to go in, I'm going to read all 50 notes to all of them and let them just hear what I would like and not rehearse it, not put it on its feet, not try to fix anything, just, bless you, here it all is. So I did. I went in, I read all 50 notes. And then I took a deep breath and I went, and so it is. My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. And then they gave an amazing performance. Fast, furious. They just, kind of like the wheels of a dream, they just went out there and said, plus it was their last time, we only did it twice. So the title of my talk today is Designing Your Dream. Because every single person here today gets to design your dream. Not hope and wish that your dream would come true. Not even start saying to yourself, what dream could I possibly accomplish? That's the wrong question, because you can accomplish any of them. But you must design it. You must be willing to design it. And that's why I told you the story about Saturday morning. I was like, all right, I'm going to design today. Here's what I want. Here's everything I would like to happen today. This faster, this slower, no slower. This faster, this faster, this faster. Cut this line. Kevin, do this, which you did everything I told you. Love when that happens. And just go through it. But design it. You get to design what your life looks like. And by the way, if you don't like what your life looks like, I hate to tell you this, but you designed it. You designed it by not designing it. Ernest Holmes talks about that in the book. He says, very often you create your life by not creating what you want. Therefore, you get whatever you're equal to. Fear, doubt, uncertainty. So, what are you ready to design in your life? What are you ready to step into that you may not even think you're big enough to step into? And that's one of the issues too. You are, just step. It will meet you there. When you design something, it meets you there. There's a wonderful quote by Walt Disney. He says this: you can design and create and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it takes people to make the dream a reality. You can design the most elaborate, amazing. How many of you have won the lottery in your head and decided how to spend it? Yeah, Most people have won I don't, because I don't play the lottery, but most people that I talk to have already won the lottery and done all these great things, and they always do affluent. They always give their money away. I'd really love to see what happens if they got it. Do they give it away? But what Walt Disney is saying here is, you can design everything, but it takes you, Carolyn, to design it and then do it. So the design is very important, but then you got to be willing to do it. Ralph Lauren said this: "I don't design clothes, I design dreams." So I love that quote because he's saying, I don't design the nitty gritty. He probably has people that deals with the hems and the threads and all that stuff. He designs what it feels like, the dream, what it makes you, how you do too, Eric. You don't design furniture. You design what the furniture brings into the space, how you experience the space. So your designs are not about the minutia. It is not about, don't go grab a book and give me the 50 things you've designed. No, it's about putting it together from the quantum field of creativity. You know, what wants to know me here? And then I can design from that. And a lot of people will tell you how your design should look. Do you ever notice that? We asked for comments at the readings this week. Everybody had comment cards, and I think we had 70, 80 comment cards that I've read, all of them. And everybody has an idea on how your musical should be designed. But here's the thing, I'm fine with hearing. And there's a commonality to a lot of things that people say that you go, oh, I see, this is not working. That's all great. But for you, when you design your life, your job is to never, ever forget what you're designing. Your life, not a life that works for other people. It's the life that you choose to live. And no matter what shows up, you still have to stay true and honest to that thing in you that knows who you are and says, yes, this is where I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I am here to do. Robert Frost said this: "The artist in me cries out for design." That thing in you, that quantum field in you, that creative essence in you that is just dying to let it all out, is asking you to involve your mental state with it. Don't just go willy-nilly all over the place with your creativity. It's asking you, that design, as Robert Frost says, that creativity is asking you, do something with me. Make me better. The quantum field has all this energy, all this creativity, and it's bubbling up through me. And it's saying to me, make me better. Give me form. Give me a design. Give me another way of expressing. That's what we get to do. That's who we get to be. We get to be the curators of all of this creativity bubbling up through us. And we get to say, this is how I do it. This is how Kevin Roche does it. This is how Carolyn does it. This is how Scott does it. Each one of us. This is how I do it. Steve Jobs said this: design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. Ernest Holmes has an entire chapter on the way it works. The way it works is you have a mind. You have an individual mind. And all of this substance and particles and space that is whirling around you, that you are, is asking you, this is what makes us the divine human being we are. I have a mind to think, to create, to take all of this and turn it into all of this. To take everything we have and turn it into the things that we bring to life. So what's there for you right now? In this month of empowerment, what are you empowered to do? What is there for you to, as he says here, to design? What's there asking you, show me how I work? Show me how I work. There's a thing called, give me this next slide. There's a thing called design thinking. Has anybody ever heard of this? You might have. No? So there's this whole movement. accidentally stumbled into it looking for a quote I wanted to find, and I found this whole thing on this thing called design thinking. And it's all about the mind, the brain, the states it goes through to design, how you use your thought process to design what you want. But it's mostly applicable to the creative fields, not necessarily metaphysics. So a guy named Tom Kelly, who wrote a book called Creative Confidence, he wrote this. Design thinking, you can't read that word, design thinking relies on the natural and coachable human ability to be intuitive, to recognize patterns, and to construct ideas that are emotionally meaningful as well as functional. So it's basically talking to you about the idea you get to design your dreams. Because he says here, you are intuitive. You are absolutely the point at which the divine, the infinite, flows through you and gives you everything you could possibly need to accomplish and design what you want to accomplish and design. Isn't that awesome news? Everybody's like, what? And if you say to me, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. This is the way it works. We are the point at which we take all of this and turn it into this. That's design thinking. Your ability to be intuitive, to recognize patterns. That's one of the things. If you listen to 70 people tell you 70 different viewpoints of the musical you just presented, if 25 of them say the same thing, there's something to that, because there's a pattern. There's a pattern to the reaction. So, I have a three-step process. Give me the next. Yes. A three-step process for you in terms of design. Okay? Number one, what dream do you know is yours? You know, in Ragtime, when Coalhouse is standing there looking at his child for the first time, it's a pretty amazing moment when you suddenly realize, now, the interesting thing is you're looking at your child, so you're thinking of all the amazing things that child will do. And you have such hope, and you have so many dreams in your soul for that child. And I'm asking you today to have that for yourself, to see yourself as a newborn, someone brand new. Take the idea of love only, love yourself so much that you can look at what you are right there, all the things you can be, Eric, all the great things you will do at any age. I don't care if you're 70, 80, or 90, or 100. At any age, there you are, ready to do it again and again and again. So, what dream do you know is yours? And that's where intuition comes into play. You don't have to know what it is. You just have to be willing to know what it is. And if you're sitting here going, I don't really have a dream in mind other than I'm good with what I'm doing. Yeah, that's great. But open up. See if there's something else there. I have so many dreams that I would like to accomplish before I go off to wherever I go off to next. And sometimes there's so many of them, my head, I feel like I'm doing a scene out of The Elephant Man right now. My head is so full of dreams. I feel so big. But you know what? If I just shut my eyes and just listen, one of them pops to the front and says, do me right now. Just do me right now. Let's do this. So what's yours? Number one, what dream do you know is yours? Right now, just now, what dream is yours? Number two, be willing to listen to where it wants to go. Once you get that dream, Dr. Liza, be willing to listen to where it wants to go. Don't you tell it where to go. Because one of the things for our controlling generation, all the generations, is that we tend to get an idea and then we decide exactly how it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen. I remember when we were producing Dorian, and I had to go raise $1 million. And I'm like, I had lunch with a friend, and I was like, I have no idea where to get this, I'm like, and I was getting agita over it. And all of a sudden, this friend turns to me and goes, how come you never asked me for it? I was like, oh, you have $1 million? He went, yes. I was like, what? Because I didn't know him that well, apparently. And he became the big financer of Dorian. because I didn't. I wasn't trying to do this, that, and I was complaining at that moment. I will say that. But I stayed open to the possibility. So be willing to listen to where it wants to go, whatever that dream is. I remember when Rita Andriello did that little thing when she was doing a labyrinth walk, and she put little signs all along the labyrinth walk, and you'd pick up a card and read it. And I picked one up one day, and it said pivot. And I was like, she has lost her mind. Why do I let her just do these things without checking them? I'm sure she's watching too. And so I'm like, pivot, like that's going to do anything. Pivot, like pivot. And I pivoted to see the sunset that I wouldn't have seen had I just kept walking in the direction I was going. And I was like, oh, pivot. See another view. Get another idea. I've used pivot all the time now. Be willing to listen to what comes from the universe. Sometimes it's a note. A real note that shows up. You know my expression, God is speaking no matter who's talking. And the third step, have the courage to see it through. So there you go, 3 steps. What dream do you know is yours? Be willing to listen to where it wants to go. And then once you do know what that is, have the courage to go there no matter what. Don't let yourself be moved off of your wheels of a dream without really knowing who you are. So, I have a closing quote for you today. Who you are is bigger than what you do, but what you do will be much bigger when you always remember who you are. So just give some thought to that. Sometimes we make these things so big, so monumental, so gigantic in front of us that it seems bigger than who we are. But when you remember who you are, you start remembering that what's right in front of you is you. It's not an obstacle. It's who you are. It's there for a reason. And sometimes mountains are only there, Reverend Karen and Brad will tell you, to climb. To just be willing to take that next step and climb right over them. No matter how high, no matter how thick, no matter what's going on, who you are is bigger than what you do. But when what you do will be much bigger if you are always willing to remember who you are. At the end of Ragtime, every character has discovered something about themselves. It really is one of the greatest musicals ever written. And people find at the end of this musical that it's not about the comfort and the money and the success. It's about the love. Am I willing to follow my heart? And if my heart is going to take me there, then I need to leave the comfort of here to go there. Have the courage to follow my dreams wherever they're going to take me. That's why you're here today, to remember that. And that's why I'm here today, to remind myself that and let you listen in. Namaste.